What if the very factories powering global brands suddenly went quiet? Imagine the shockwaves if the labor force that has long been Southeast Asia's strength began to shrink or shift. This isn't science fiction. It's a real possibility that's already unfolding. From Vietnam's bustling industrial zones to the massive garment hubs in Cambodia and Myanmar, subtle but powerful labor shifts are starting to disrupt the balance. And the world? It needs to pay attention. Southeast Asia has been the global engine room for manufacturing. Low labor costs, young populations, and improving infrastructure made it the perfect alternative to China. Countries like Vietnam and Indonesia thrived as supply chains diversified. Big brands moved fast, setting up factories, logistics hubs, and long-term plans. But now, cracks are forming. Labor shortages, rising wages, political instability, and even changing worker mindsets are altering the rules of the game. Let's start with demographics. Several Southeast Asian nations, especially Thailand and Vietnam, are aging faster than expected. Vietnam's workforce, once hailed as one of the youngest and fastest growing, is now facing a decline. Urban migration, falling birth rates, and an aging population mean fewer hands on factory floors. Meanwhile, in Cambodia and Myanmar, political instability and uncertain working conditions are pushing both workers and investors to reconsider their choices. The second big shift is economic. With increased global awareness about worker rights and fair wages, Southeast Asian countries are under pressure to raise labor standards. That's good news in the long run, but in the short term, it leads to rising costs. Wages in Vietnam, for example, have steadily increased. Good for workers, but challenging for companies chasing tight margins. Some are already exploring alternatives. India, Bangladesh, and even parts of Africa are becoming new frontiers for cheap labor. Technology is also playing its part. Automation and AI are reducing the demand for low-skilled labor across industries. Companies investing in smart factories can now do more with fewer people. For Southeast Asia, this is both a threat and an opportunity. The challenge lies in upskilling the workforce, making sure workers are not left behind as the digital revolution accelerates. But perhaps the most unexpected shift is cultural. Younger generations in Southeast Asia are less willing to take traditional factory jobs. They seek higher education, better working conditions, and more flexible careers. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube aren't just entertainment. They're showing young people alternative lifestyles and income sources. That changes expectations. That changes everything. So what happens if this labor shift continues? Global supply chains will be forced to adapt. Some companies might return manufacturing to their home countries, a process known as reshoring. Others will look to diversify even more aggressively, creating a spiderweb of production centers across the world. Either way, consumers will feel the impact in pricing, availability, and speed of delivery. For Southeast Asia, the future depends on how fast governments and industries can pivot. Investing in education, digital skills, and worker protections will be key. Countries that adapt could not only retain their manufacturing edge, but lead the next era of smart, sustainable industry. The world is watching. The labor shock in Southeast Asia isn't just a regional issue, it's a global turning point. Will this be a crisis or a catalyst for change? If you found this insight valuable, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of global trends. Let's stay ahead of the curve, together.